All right, you guys, this is another episode of Art and Our Entertainment, and today I'm going to be reviewing Batman Dark Patterns, issue 7, which I consider my favorite ongoing Batman series right now. I know there's a lot of good ones, and everyone has their opinions, and that's what makes this conversation even better, but let me get into it. So, the big word to remember about issue 7 of Batman Dark Patterns is pareidolia. The definition: the name for how we perceive patterns where there are none. The reason this is important: Bruce Wayne looks upon Gotham City from his window and he can literally see the city on fire. He sees the city's ills as a fire that are slowly consuming the city. And he even believes the city to be a body, so to speak. And he perceives the Batman to be treated like a virus, that Gotham's body is trying to burn out for the greater good. You know, it's an interesting angle, that I never really, heard expressed in a Batman comic. I love the metaphor. But anyways, pareidolia is important because Bruce Wayne contests in his mind that all of the ills of Gotham are not to be looked at as a connective tissue in patterns, but isolated events that require the Batman's skill set. Yeah, it's a really awesome book, man. There's so much about this. There's so much about this series, excuse me, that I like. Um, okay, so I finished Batman Dark Patterns. This is by far my favorite ongoing Batman story. Each issue feels like its own isolated event, but full scale story. So each story feels like its own, neatly packaged story that doesn't necessarily feel like, oh man, I gotta know exactly what happens the next one. Although it does lead to more story, you're just like, after reading each issue that I've come across, I'm like, man, I was really satisfied with that. But anyways, this is by far my favorite ongoing Batman story. Each issue feels like that. So you want to know what happens? The best description I give about this issue is it's a well thought out, slow burn, whodunit murder mystery. It's also showing us a grittier part of Gotham, just below the skyscrapers and the towers. You know what I mean? It's down in that feel. It's downtown skies. As much as they show the dark, gritty side of Gotham City, like we see even more of a grittier side with what Batman calls a part of town known as the Rookery. Um, as the comic says, it's a neighborhood of old Gotham, half rebuilt with temporary materials decades ago after a minor earthquake. This picture remains, no, excuse me. This picture reminds me of video games and movies I've seen of shanty towns, impoverished areas that could use help, and you can only imagine how bad an impoverished area is in real life, let alone an underdeveloped make-believe city that has arguably the worst criminal element ever. So, Batman descends deep into the Rookery district where he finds an unhoused, possibly senile, grisly old man who explains Schwarzschild cosmology. He explains to him that our observable universe is the interior of a black hole within a larger parent universe. The unhoused man goes on to explain to Batman that the Rookery is that black hole and that it pulls everything into the center in the end, which sounds very dark and just sucks. That sounds like it sucks. And so Batman's like, no, I think Batman might need to remember that later. You know what I'm saying? Because it seems like he keeps getting pulled to this very impoverished area in Gotham City to stop crime. But yeah, so I'll probably recall back to that later. But what else do I know? So Batman finds a burning old building in the Rookery district, which he reports to Commissioner Gordon about. When he tells him to send the CSI squad, we see in that moment Batman sees what Batman sees, and it stops him right in his track. He sees a body in the dryer machine in this burning building. I must say these moments are moments that I really think are that add gravity to the comic book because you see the dark underbelly, but you also see detective work at play, and you see science at play. And then you see who my favorite character is besides Batman. You see Dr. Sharika. And, you know, he's a bit morbid, slightly creepy and quirky, but he's like always there when there's like, it almost reminds me of, yeah, CSI. It reminds me of CSI because they always have these, um, in this comic, they have like the murder mystery of the week. It almost feels like in each episode in each comic. So you're like, oh man, what happened to this person? Like, how did this happen? Like, who did it? And Dr. Sharik is always like, you know, he's always analyzing the body and what, you know, the trauma that the person went through, and you know what might be some clues to figure. You know what I mean? Like, I really like stuff like that. I love stuff like that. It's like a who done it. So yeah, he's, you know, Dr. Shriek is a really cool, interesting character in all the Batman that I've read. You know what I'm saying? He really stands out as one of those characters that helps Batman, and I'm surprised they haven't, you know, done this earlier with, you know, Batman really like ping ponging off like not only Commissioner Gordon but a doctor, you know, that studies cadavers. But anyways, yeah, you know, Dr. Sharik is really good at discussing victims, giving help to Batman and Commissioner Gordon. You know, these moments are like layered. They I feel like they add layer to the story for me. You know, because it, you know, I feel like it's like the morality, despair, and hope of Gotham City are all tied in this darker story. You know, that Commissioner Gordon, Batman, and Dr. Sharik are trying to, uncover. Um, so yeah, it's like a big maze of who done it. You know what I mean? And it's a great read, man. It's a great read. Let me see if I have much else to say after that. You know, it's a great read. I already pre-ordered issue 8 because I just feel like this is the best Batman run going on right now, and I think that's cool because I know a lot of other people love Absolute Batman. They think that there's nothing that can compare to that, and I think Absolute Batman it's okay to say it's not my favorite. I'm not like rushing to see if a new issue's out necessarily, but I am keeping up with that story. All right, let me just add to that because after I said that and you guys seen that, you guys think I'm crazy and talking in circles. I'm saying I have bought issue 10, but I have not bought all the issues prior to issue 10. See what I'm saying? I just pick and choose. So yeah, I pick and choose. You know, it honestly is really simple with me. If I like a cover, if I didn't start with issue 1, doesn't matter. If I like that cover, I'm getting that cover. Whether it's issue 5 of some ongoing series or issue 10, you know what I mean? That's how I am. But and they got Bane. I really wanted to see what was going on with Bane. But there's some really cool stuff with the Absolute Universe going on. You know, I'm interested in most of it, you know, pick and choosing my spots. But, you know, Batman, I bought an issue of Batman, or Superman, excuse me. I bought an issue of Superman, the first issue of Absolute Superman. It was decent. I love the artwork, you know what I'm saying? I like the suit. I like how the energy and the powers look. Um, you know, Batman, Absolute Batman, you know, there's spots here and there like him fighting Bane that's interesting to me. That a couple issues back when he was fighting, which was an issue I didn't get, he was fighting Mr. Freeze. I thought that was fantastic because he's actually one of my favorite characters of, he's like a top 3 character for me as far as Batman's pantheon of villains. You know, some may disagree, but I think he's a very multi-dimensional character. But I wanted to get that book, but I just didn't grab it, just didn't have it, just because there's so much good material out here, you guys, for, you know, and there's no wrong pick, you know. There's no wrong pick. Whatever you like in comics is what you like and what's ultimately going to keep you buying comics so we can keep talking about comics. So, yeah, I'll get back to you guys later, man. Y'all have a good day. Ciao.